Welcome to New Light Living Podcast. I'm so happy I have Miranda Mitchell here today, and we are going to talk about human design and how human design can help increase self-love. I love that connection between human design and how it can support us to express ourselves better. Welcome, Miranda.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Yes. And before we dive into this juicy topic of human design and self-love and the connection between it, I would love to share with you, or you share with us rather, who you are and what you do.
Thank you. Well, Miranda Mitchell. I'm an energetic alignment coach and human design specialist that works primarily with leaders in their industry because human design is such a great tool for learning about the self that I feel like for the most impact, if I connect with people, coaches, people that collaborate with other people, and connect with them in this way, they can bring it to their clients, or they can then also bring it to the people that they love. Because it really is it helps you accept yourself, love yourself, and forgive yourself for even some of the past things or beliefs that you've had about yourself. So I feel like it's a most powerful tool in creating happiness and impact on humanity.
Yes, and I wholeheartedly agree. So from your perspective, because there may be some listeners or viewers who have not come into contact with human design as a tool or a system, can you briefly share with us what it is?
Yeah, so human design is a combination and collaboration of multicultural traditional wisdom, which is the part that I absolutely love, and quantum mechanics. So it brings the old and the new together. So as a seasoned yoga teacher and yoga practitioner, I love the traditional wisdom of like the Hindu chakra system. So I studied that for a long time, and that is in this combination. So it's the Hindu chakra system, astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the tree of life, and then quantum mechanics. So it's the combination of all of these wonderful things that we've learned about ourselves in the past, and then bringing in quantum mechanics. And it really gives you tangible results when you put in your birth date, birth time, and birthplace. You receive this chart, and in that chart, there's so much that can unfold for you in learning about yourself.
Yes. And isn't that what we need these days, as far as for those who are curious about learning more about who they truly are? And so it's definitely a deep well of wisdom in available to us, really, in this system, human design. Now, having said that, how do you feel that the topic of human design and how we use that to increase self-love, how is that relevant to the times we're living in now?
Oh, it's so good. Self-love is where it really all begins, as long as I believe this. It's where if we love ourselves, then we create the life that we really want. If we don't love ourselves, then what happens is we end up trying to morph or change into something that we think other people want us to be, or society wants us to be. So instead of external, I always like to say, look, internal. But a lot of people don't understand really what that means. You can do that with yoga and silence, but then you don't have any tangible results, which is where I was. I was like, is this truly true? Or am I just making this stuff up because I'm doing this practice, But then when you have the chart and you enter in the information, this body graph comes out and it shows you where you have consistent energy. So this chart is basically the energy that you are, and then the energy that you are not. So we all have consistent energy. That is us. It includes our, like, who we're here to be, what energy we're here to be, what our life lessons are, what we're here to learn, how we're here, what we're here to do even and to speak about. And then the energy that we're not, that is where we actually take in other people's energy. So the people that we're surrounded by, as well as the environment. So you may notice that you are different around certain people. And as I was growing up, I always judged myself on that. Like, why am I so different when I'm hanging around with this group of people? But when I'm over here, I'm totally someone else. So what is wrong with me? Do I not know who I am? Like, because I would change. So then this belief comes up about not being worthy, not being good enough. I don't even know who I am. Why would I matter? I don't even understand who I am. So it gives you the opportunity to see what energy is yours, to see what energy you take in. And then with that, what happens is you're able to release some of those beliefs that you've created about yourself in those areas that you take in other people's energy. So when it comes to self-love, and I know this from personal experience, and I always love to share as an experience because people connect with experience. But I had a long journey of not loving myself. I had an open G center, which in the chart, that means it's the place for love, direction, and identity. So it was open, I take in other people's energy. So I would change around other people. So I didn't know who I was. I would move from place to place. I would change. I wouldn't understand who I was. I didn't think I mattered. So a lot of my life, I felt like I don't matter anyway. So why does my life even matter? What am I here to do? And within my chart, it actually shows me that one of my struggles in my life is like, I am always looking to find my life purpose. Always. I have the gate of inadequacy. I am always going to feel like I'm inadequate and that I don't know enough. So when I was able to see those things in my chart, it actually made me cry because it's stuff that I knew, but I didn't express it to people. I didn't know I knew it. I just knew it. And then when I saw it, it just like, okay, so this is who I am. And it's okay. It's okay if I feel inadequate. It's okay because this is part of my journey. So it just gives you the opportunity to truly love yourself, accept yourself, as well as even others in your life.
Such a beautiful connection and description of what the power of human design really can do for someone. And thank you for sharing your, it sounds like you really saw yourself validated in this information that was just speaking back to you. Yes, this is you. Don't question it. Don't doubt it. And that connection of acceptance, or the energy of acceptance can come in, and I love that. And that's a beautiful story of what it can do, if we're curious and open up that book of learning about ourselves.
Yeah. And I will say every single person I do a foundational reading with, every single person, I can't, there's not one so far that doesn't walk away either with crying because they feel seen and heard the first time, or in shock because I knew them so deeply, even though we never met, or permission to actually be okay with who they are because they thought something was wrong with them, with the way that they had thought, or didn't believe that this was true for them. So each opportunity that I get to work with someone, it really does change their life. And I will say, from my perspective and on my level, and I feel like with the people I've worked with, even when you actually hear this information and you start diving deep into it, it's almost like your body knows this already. It's the cells that you carry. It's in your DNA. But then when you actually see it and reflect on it and integrate it, it like opens up those cells where it's like, I've known this all along. And now I get to be who I'm here to be, unapologetically. I am who I am. And I love myself for it.
Yes. And I just love the way, if we allow it to, can be this source of acceptance within self-love, basically, that it can just fill us up in that way. So for you personally, if you think about your journey with human design and what it's done for your life, as you described a little bit about, what is the best thing that have come out of that journey, your own experience with human design?
So much. Can I say 3 things?
Yes.
That's like just 3 things popped in my head. So the first one would be the self-love and acceptance of myself. I did not love myself at all. I questioned myself. So now I love myself unconditionally, and I can laugh at myself, at my inadequacies, and it's all good. Also, it gave me trust in other people. I was a loner, and I didn't trust, because of the traumas, I didn't trust anyone. I felt like I had to do everything by myself to succeed in life. And I would never let myself have that vulnerability to actually work with someone or partner with someone in a business or anything like that, because I would not trust them. So it has opened up my heart to actually like trust people unconditionally, and even without fear, like if they end up screwing me over, okay, well, there was a lesson there. It has nothing to do with about my choices, so it's opened up that trust, and it opens up to draw those beautiful people to you. So it's just like you have this beautiful connection with people, which I was so missing because I felt like I had to be alone. And the last thing, which I think is the most powerful for me, I know you don't know a lot about my journey, but at 14, I lived on my own. I moved out. I was in domestic violence with my husband. I raised 2 boys on my own. I did everything by myself. And really, human design has given me the opportunity, because of the love and because of the trust, my life is so much easier. Like, it's no longer this huge struggle where I feel like I'm fighting to get where I want to be. It's like I'm already here, and it's beautiful, and it's just my life is just so much happier and fulfilled and easy, and it's just a beautiful experience. So that's my favorite.
Yes. Oh, thank you for sharing that, because this is life-changing impact.
Mm-hmm.
And simply said in a way, but it's due to that you learning about this body of knowledge about yourself. So it's this beautiful thing, really. So thank you for sharing that. Now, moving into, you work with a lot of people that are coming to you to gain this experience about themselves and the knowledge of it. Why do you think people are more interested in human design as a tool, and how it can support them in their journey? Whether it's, the self-love is a big term, but it's in a way what we're looking for in our lives to begin with, as you say, to love and accept ourselves. But why do you think that more and more people are getting into this?
I really feel like in human design, there's an evolutionary change that is shifting. By 2027, we will be no longer living out, and I'm going to throw some terms out there. So if you don't know what it is, don't freak out. I like to throw the terms out there, because then as you start to hear them, you start to recognize what they mean. So I like to throw some terms out there. But we're moving out of the spleen area, which is a center, which is all based on instinct and survival. So basically, we have been living to survive. We've been working to survive. That's what we've been doing. That's our life. So what's happening, and what's been happening for the last 100 or so years, us who have been born are moving out of living out of survival and moving into the emotional solar plexus, which is creativity, connection, collaboration, connection to the earth, and consciousness. So we're moving away from just instinct and survival into having deliberate intention and conscious choices through connection and collaboration. So I feel like more and more people are open to this, because we've been born into this. This is really what we're here to learn. This is really what we're here to do for humanity. We're really here, instead of living out of materialism, we're looking inward, learning to love ourselves, trust people, collaborate, heal ourselves, heal the environment, and raise our kids in a way that is going to continue to do that. So I feel like that's why more and more people, like, we're waking up. We realize we're energy. We know this now. We're learning so much more. And now, we're able to make impact globally through podcasts and Zoom. And so we're able to connect with more people that way. So I feel like that's why more and more people are opening up to it. And, it also feels good. Who likes to be working 9 to 5 just to survive, and then you retire and then you're too sore or old to even enjoy anything? It's really about living life, and living life, like fully living life, having a fulfilling business and a fulfilling life. We get to do it both. We really do.
Yeah. And what you said there about, we're really here to make this shift from survival to discovery and actually living 110%. And that's, I'm almost getting this feeling that, why don't we teach this in school? To students, and in a way, well, this just came to me now, like, this is hopefully with time becoming more of a mainstream knowledge that people have about themselves. What can I compare it to? Like, your blood type or whatever you do. Or some information about yourself as a young child, and that's what everybody knows about themselves. What if everybody knew their body graph, for example, from a young age, and that's insight that then grows with age appropriate knowledge, right? About, how powerful could that be? And because what you're saying too is that it's not just a tool for you, it's a tool for interaction and communication, collaboration, forming networks. So it's not just this whole a bunch of knowledge about ourselves. It's about knowledge, how we can understand others.
And Ra, who is the individual that actually received all this information. So he channeled all this information in 1987 in Spain during a supernova. And when he received this information, he actually it was told that he came up with, or it was told while he was channeled, that this was actually for the children. And it is because we are so out of alignment that we're killing the planet. And that if we work with the children and they know their energy, they know what they're here to do, they love themselves for their variable and all their lessons and all of that, then they end up thriving and are successful and love one another and trust one another. And it's a lot different than what we currently have. And I will say, personally, I have a 10-year-old and I do talk with her about this. You can't force it, but I mentioned to her, you have an open throat. So what that means is a lot of times people don't hear you. They have to look at you. They have to ask you a question, and otherwise they don't hear you. And I will hear her screaming to be heard from her friends on her iPad. And I have a conversation with her. And I said, okay, so how many friends were you having on there? Maybe it would be a good idea, since you have an open throat, I just put that in there, that you have 1 or 2 friends that you talk with, so you feel seen and heard. You don't have to scream. You don't have to dominate and be over empowering to be heard. So she listened. Of course, she fights me, but then I hear in the background her say something about her friend. And she's like, oh, that's okay. She doesn't know I have an open throat. And I was just like, yay. So it's giving her love and compassion and understanding on why people don't hear her. It's not that they don't care. It's that her voice is variable and that they don't hear her unless they're looking at her or asking her a question. So she knows that, and she can now grow up in that way rather than thinking no one cares for me. no one listens to what I say. What I say doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, real life example of, how even a 10-year-old can bring that awareness into, an interaction with another group of friends or individual friends. That's amazing. So moving on to your experience with human design, what are some of the resources or tools? Well, human design itself is a huge tool, but if you were to pull out any resources or tips that have made the most impact for you, like during this journey, what would that be? If you want to share with those who are curious now.
Well, I will say human design, like if you end up getting your chart, you will most likely be like, what the heck is this chart? I have no idea what any of this stuff means. It can be overwhelming. It really can. But I feel like human design is a layering on effect, meaning you take in a little bit at a time, you practice it and integrate it into your body, because we're physical beings. We have to know what it feels like. And then once you have done that, you take that next step if you feel like you want to. You don't always have to go deeper. So I will just say most of the time, the biggest thing that I've learned is everybody, except for the manifestors, and I'm just throwing it out there, who are 9% of a society, are living like manifestors. So what that means, manifestors, they're the people that get an idea and inspiration and get to initiate the process. They're the only ones. So 8% to 9% of society are living in alignment or closer to alignment than else, because everyone else of the types all have a waiting period. So we're pushing, we're initiating, we're trying to be seen, trying to be heard, we're trying to make things happen, we're trying to build a business, we're trying to do all the things, but we're out of alignment because we're pushing. So what I would say is find out your type. That's the first thing. And then learn about how to best make decisions according to your type so that you aren't pushing. And then you'll start to notice things start getting easier. So that would be the first thing. It's just, I mean, you can get your free chart. I have a way that you can get your free chart on my site. There's other sites you can get free charts, but that way you just get to learn about what your type and just practice and experiment with what it means to be that type as far as making decisions, and then see how it feels. And if it doesn't feel good or it doesn't connect, okay. And if it does, then okay. There's no wrong or right. And it's always about right timing as well.
Yeah. And that's great advice, because I was going to ask you, like, if somebody really resonates with this episode, love what you're saying, and like, yeah, I want to learn more today. So in addition, what I'm hearing is that you recommend to get a chart. So go to Miranda's website, get your free chart there, and then start learning some of the terminology and your type, of course, because out in this chart is going to tell you some basic information about that, and learning terminology is important.
Yeah. And I do, if you guys do go to my website, I do send a free video too on your type. So that actually helps you learn about your strategy, your unique strategy, and how to start working on it right now. So if you get the chart, you also get the video, so you can start practicing. And then if you want to go deeper, then you can go to the foundational reading and all that. Because I just want to say there's a lot of information, and a lot of people get all wrapped up in the information. But, if you just get all of the information and you don't practice it, you don't understand it, you don't know what it feels like, it's just information. It's not going to change your life because you're not doing it. So that's why I said layering effect. Type in strategy first, then we'll see what happens.
Oh, such great advice, because often we just want to take information in, and then it's like, okay, nothing really happens, right? So
right. And it's like, it doesn't work for me, but it's because you haven't learned about type and strategy. You haven't practiced with type and strategy and all that. So it takes a process. It's a lifelong journey, of learning about yourself. Yeah. It's not just like a one and done type of thing.
So tell us, what is the web address that people can find you on?
Yeah, so my web address is Miranda it's either dash or hyphen Mitchell.com. You can go on there and then you can click on the button that says get my chart. It will ask for your birth date, birth time. I will say birth time is very important. So if you don't have your birth time, maybe ask someone, look at your chart, look at your birth certificate, but it is kind of important. And then birthplace. And then I run your chart and then I can send it your way with the video.
Oh, beautiful. So generous. So before we wrap up this awesome episode about human design, I would like to ask you, Miranda, what do you live by?
Oh, you know what? Since I've learned my human in design strategy and type, I just live by responding. So that's my strategy. And I can explain a little bit. So as a generator type, we're here to respond to things in the external world. So if we actually learn about that strategy and sit back and wait for things to show up to us and learn about the synchronicities, life unfolds for you. And that's what makes life beautiful. And that is what makes life really expansive, because you really don't know what's going to happen next. So you have to have curiosity, open heart, open mind, feel it in your body, and then just go with the flow. And it's beautiful.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Miranda, for being part of our podcast this week. Love this. And everybody go visit Miranda's website, get your chart, and start discovering this beautiful system of human design. And yeah. So thank you, Miranda, for being our guest today. And thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. We'll come back soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.